Everyone wants to be there on Sunday, but as every short tracker will tell you, there is no Sunday without Saturday night. And every week, all across the nation, late models own Saturday night. This is the ballad of the sport's backbone, its hometown, its weekly star, and its greatest racing. This is Saturday night. This is On Tour. Welcome back to On Tour. My name is Buddy Pulley. I head up the late model coverage here on ATYL Media, and we have again today one of the finalists for the Kawicki Driver Development Program. Today we have Chase Johnson. Chase, how you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm glad to be talking to you. We haven't crossed paths before, but we've been in a lot of the same places this year at South Boston for sure. I guess we'll hop right into it. How did you get into racing? I guess very broad question, and take it as broad as you.
Well, I grew up, always going to the racetrack, watching my dad race at Southside and really just all over the East Coast and Virginia area. I grew up as a kid, looking up to him and, as I kind of got older, around 8 years old, at that point I was begging to, race something. I didn't know what or, what was even I could race at that age, but my dad ended up putting me in a go-kart at 8 years old, and um, that's where it all began, and it's never stopped, and it's never seemed to slow down either. It seems to get more and more every year as far as racing more and more, and I don't know. It's just I'm very fortunate.
For sure. What did your dad race when he was racing at Southside?
So he, did a couple of modified races, but mainly the late model stock car stuff.
Okay, gotcha. And that I guess this is what, early 2000, mid 90s type era, or a little bit more recent. I guess. Yeah.
He started in the late 80s.
Okay.
Um, and his last like full-time year is 2019, but he's still running here and there
Oh,
at
awesome.
Dominion with me when he can. So he's still having fun, keeping
That's
him busy,
awesome.
that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that helps you too, like in your development, just having him still active in the sport and have someone that you can go to and trust, right?
Absolutely. I mean, his advice is the stuff he tells me is right up there with some of the best people in the sport. He's been around racing all of his life and knows a lot about it, and he's seen a lot too. So to have him behind me and kind of help lead me in the right direction with things is something that a lot of drivers don't have, and that's something that I'm very lucky to have, and something that really does help me out a lot.
Now you mentioned getting in the go kart when you were around 8 years old. How long were you in go karts, and what was kind of the progression after that?
So I was in go-karts for about 6 to 7 years. I raced all the way up until I was about 15, and that's when I started to get into the limited late models, and I, ran limited late models for, still running them, and getting my feet wet in the late model stock cars.
So you went from go karts to limited late models. All right, you got it.
Yes.
You got to walk it, because everybody I've talked to, and I mean that's rare. I know guys have done it, but what was that jump like? Was it just another vehicle that you're jumping in, or like what? How was that transition?
Oh, it was completely different. It was like learning how to race like completely again. My rookie year, I really struggled a lot. I crashed a lot.
I think
Most of the time it was my fault. Sometimes it wasn't, but most of the time it was. Um, as far as crashing it, I learned from it every time, and
yeah.
then the
I
next
mean, you
race
got
I
to
just
learn where
make a
your corners
difference.
are.
Yeah, well, that's something that really threw me a loop. I thought I was riding the yellow line, but I was really about a car length up off the bottom.
Man.
So I had to, relearn where I was on the racetrack completely.
Yeah, and so you went from that, and you said crashed a lot your rookie year, but you ended up winning rookie of the year in the national weekly touring, division. It came damn close to winning the championship. Like, where was the turning point for you to get to where you're, just learning where to put the card to now you're contending for wins. You're now in the national championship.
So 2023 was, my first year in limited, and we had decent runs. And then 2024, mini raceway was still Division Three with the limited late models. That year, we did a lot of work on the race car, completely rebuilt it from the chassis, and we got the car a lot better as well. That's something I did was go back and watch a lot of flow race, look at how I was doing things and where I really needed to improve on. That's really what kind of helped like jump me forward to the 2024 year where we won the Division Three Southeast region. We won 6 races and 21 top fives and 24 races and the Dominion Raceway Track Championship as well. And then in 2025, we went back to work on the car and made it a lot better again. And then in 2025, we started off slow. We had brake issues the first race of the year at Dominion. After that, we went and practiced on a Friday, got it a little bit better, and from that point on, we won 7 races in a row and 15 total.
Yeah, and I was reading here that you guys set out to win Rookie of the Year, which you ultimately did, but you kind of realized mid-season that you guys were in the championship hunt. Did your mindset or just your approach ever change, or was it just business as usual, keep doing what we're doing?
I want to say business as usual, but the goal was different. Um, you know, it was the same as an aspect as you're trying to come home in one piece so you can bring it home and work on trying to get better. But, if, second and thirds at where we were at the end of the year wasn't going to help you. You had to win with bonus points. And, we were leading all the way up to, I think, the last 2 weeks where, we were going to win with we're going to have a win with 2 bonus points, and then we ended up getting a flat tire, and we we rebounded we got back up to fourth, but ultimately just ran out of time, and that's what put us back. And then we kind of had to throw a Hail Mary the last race with starting dead last, and we were rolling pretty good. We got up to second by lap 32 after starting last, and just things didn't go our way. We ended up getting in an accident, and um, that's a part of life, right? Sometimes you gotta take your defeat, and it wasn't meant to be.
I appreciate the fact that you admitted that it was a change in how you guys showed up on the weekend. I think a lot of people were like, "No, it's always business as usual." But I mean, I would imagine it was that the same goal or same approach, but like it's a daunting task to go after a title, especially when you weren't, I guess prepared for. This year, though, you've run South Boston, you're running Dominion, you're doing a lot of races. Are you guys chasing a national title this year, or is it kind of you're moving around trying to get your feet wet in the late model stocks?
I mean, at the beginning of the year, that was kind of the goal. Um, we haven't started off the year too great. We've been struggling a lot trying to find speed, but um, when we'd like to chase the national, but as of right now, we still got a lot of work to do. So I guess to answer your question, yes and no, kind of at the same time. Um, first before we worry about it, we got to work on winning races and getting speed. So I mean, I think if we can do that, we'll really have a shot. But we got a lot of work to do first.
Yeah, and we were talking beforehand, and you mentioned that you ran a couple of the Triple Crown races last year to kind of get your feet wet in late model stocks. Moving from the limited to the late model stock, what has been the transition like for you? What are you finding out is the biggest challenge, and what can you
what piece have you been able to take up from limiteds?
Definitely like, car control with the limiteds, but I've noticed with the late model stock car, I've kind of had to go back to when I was racing go-karts because nowadays you're just kind of riding on the bump stops. You don't really have a lot of, suspension and travel. You're just pretty much riding around the whole racetrack on the bumps. So it's kind of just like driving a go-kart all over again. Um, so I kind of had to adjust myself, which really threw me for a loop the first race this year. Um, but I felt like this past race at South Boston kind of got a bad set of tires, and it just we had brake troubles too. So, um, we couldn't really tell where we were, but I felt like we were a lot better, especially in practice. But I never felt like we got a real chance to, kind of show how we were
Yeah.
in the race.
Now, doing some racing at South Boston this year. Obviously, you're still working on the transition to late model stocks, but still, I mean that I talk all the time on every platform I can about how stout the South Boston weekly field is. How do you think that's helping you just to be up against some of the toughest competition out there?
It's definitely helping me to be a better competitor. Teaching me how I gotta, work harder, and that, you know, one thing I like, about racing with them, um, they race you very clean. I noticed in the Triple Crown, like it was a lot rougher than what I was used to. Um, but a lot of the guys at South Boston are experienced, they're veterans, and they race you with respect and they race you cleanly. And I try to aim for that, and that's something I appreciate a lot. Just, the racecraft of everybody at South Boston.
I gotta ask, talking to you here just these few minutes, I've noticed that your approach is very measured, and your appreciation for like you just said, for how people, the racecraft of guys at South Boston, does that come from your dad, or does that come from what kind of influences have you had, outside of maybe just your dad in your racing career?
Um, it's probably the biggest influence that he's taught me is just race others how you want to be raced for one, and always be thinking ahead. Like a big thing in racing is just thinking before what your opponents are going to do. And that's something that won me a lot of races last year, is just thinking and trying to outsmart the guy in front of you. We didn't always have the best car last year, but there was times where I was able to, be smarter than them, and things worked out to where I could get around them and, ultimately end up winning the race. So, I mean, a lot of it, nowadays is your car, but when you can always make a difference as a driver, um, still to this day. So,
Now, something I do love, obviously being a part of the Quickie Driver Development Program, you've proven your worth on the racetrack for sure, but also, it's about helping out the community and giving back. Tell me about the initiative you've been working with the past couple of Thanksgivings.
so we've been going out to the city of Richmond, about 30 minutes away. And me and my family friends, every Thanksgiving we go out and, we provide clothes, blankets, everyday needs, and also provide them with a meal on Thanksgiving. Um, we just try and hand it out to everybody we can. My buddy, he has RV, and he normally takes it out, and we set some tables out, and they normally come up, and we just hand them some food and some clothes and some blankets to just keep them warm.
That's awesome. That's really great. I mean, how did that come about, or how did you guys find this or come up with this idea?
I cannot take credit for it. My friends, it's something they've done. I've come up to them. I was like, "Do y'all need some help?" And they were like, "Absolutely." I had a great time doing it. I mean, you're helping people, but you also get to be with your family and friends too at the same time. For me, I had a great time doing it, but I can't take credit for the idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's super cool. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that, and everybody's been in, not everybody's maybe been in that position, but knows somebody who has. So that's kind of commend you for that for sure. Before I let you go, I ask this question to every driver. There's the hustle and bustle of racing. We were talking about it beforehand, how it seems like it never stops. Do you ever, or when is the last time you've gotten to maybe, pause or look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm racing weekly here and I'm trying to advance my career, but I'm still, right now, I'm a race car driver, after all the accomplishments that you've had in just your own career. How often do you get to appreciate the fact that you're getting to do this?
For me, typically it's more after the race season's over. Unfortunately, you're always in the go 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 mode and trying to get things done, trying to get better. Whatever it is, you're in that mindset. It's not really until after race season where I get some time to kind of sit down and just think about put things in perspective and where I wanted to be 10 years ago to where I am. I wish I could get to do it more, but it's definitely cool when you are able to have time to sit down and I mean, I didn't think I'd be here 10 years ago. Um, at the end of the day, I'm still happy with what I accomplished. Even if I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish yesterday or today, at the end of the day, we're all doing what we love.
That's awesome. I greatly appreciate that approach too. I mean, you kind of opened the floor. I'm going to ask one more question. You said you didn't expect to be here 10 years ago. Where do you expect to be in 10 years from today? Or where do you want to be? Let's not put any expectations on it. Where do you want to be?
I think everybody wants to be, in the top three levels of NASCAR. Um, I would love to be there, but realistically, I would just love to be racing for a living and be able to live comfortable. I love racing at all levels, and to just be able to do it for a living, I think would you know fulfill my happiness. So I think that's where I want to be in 10 years. That was a good question.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's I'm glad I clarified no expectations. We're just, where you want to be. That's awesome though. That's I think that's all any wants in life is to be comfortable and be happy, and the fact that you are content with that is incredible. And I appreciate your time today for sure. And I, hopefully I see you this weekend and we don't get rained out here at South Boston. But man, thank you so much, Chase, and good luck throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you. Come say hi to me at South Boston.
Definitely will.